Podcasting from the Sound of Freedom studio, welcome to Local Politics.
There it is.
All right.
There it is.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Kevin. Of course, you got my counterpart here, political novice, Jason. He's been busy working on some episodes for the local business show, and I think you guys are going to be excited to see what comes out. I know Billy Cooper's all warmed up, and we're working on that in the back room.
Rob on the political show.
Yeah,
we got
Dittman.
Sean Dittman.
And
so, I don't know, I guess by the time this airs, our new website's going to be up. And so he's going to actually host a third show for us, Local Health.
Yeah, and so our new website's going to be a lot easier to use. You and I have been working a lot on it. Well, no elections happening now. Right now, the filing period when we're recording this is going on, and that's going to end like mid-February. There will be an election for sure for the Judson School Board. I believe Universal City is going to have an election, and nobody has filed against me. Today, I'm very, very excited to announce we have John Frias in the studio with the Green Valley SUD, which is a special utility district for water. He also serves on some committees with Cibolo, and we're going to get into some of the Cibolo questions in the second half of the show. But what in the world does a SUD do? You're about to find out. So welcome, John. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all having me.
I was waiting for the cheers.
No, you only get the cheers at the beginning of the show, man. That's
all right. Well, we're
good.
Yeah, or whatever.
I do have that one.
Price is right.
Well, we're still working on improving our production here, guys. So on real time, John, welcome to the studio. Welcome to the local talent. You comfortable? You feel welcome here?
Feel great.
You're the first guest in the new lifted seating
chairs,
arrangements. Yeah, we put lift kits on the chairs.
Yeah, and
Make us short guys feel better, right?
Please tell the local politics universe who you are, what do you do, and who do you do it to?
Awesome. So my name is John Frias, and I have a lot going on, in life. Grew up on the northeast side of San Antonio. Graduated from Madison High School.
Mm-hmm.
Got into the military. Did my military stint and with 341st PSYOP company out of Camp Bullis. Deployed to Iraq 2010, 2011.
What branch?
Army.
Army?
Yep.
Yeah.
Airborne, air assault, the whole works. And it was a great time. Loved it. Good people. A lot of life experiences growing up, and glad I did it when I was younger.
Yeah.
Trying to do that now, no way. Especially with the everything you go through. Worked in the oil field early 2012, 2015 time period. Once I came back from my deployment, also going to college. Wayland Baptist University, got my bachelor's in computer applications. Did that. Once I did that, got out of the oil field business, went into the lumber business with BMC out of New Braunfels, and then started working on my master's. Got my master's in organizational management, and went to BFS out in Cibolo, and ran that operation over there, and been with the company ever since.
Your college degree is in computer applications?
Yes.
Is that?
So that's my undergrad.
What does that do? What does that mean?
So pretty much reviewing, the configurations of applications on software or, programs that you use on the computers, on phones, stuff like that. So
who would did that help you get the job that you have now?
Yeah, I would say so. IT nowadays, you can't do a business without any IT, experience. And, I did get certifications in the Army too that transitioned into college credits too. So that did help.
Nice.
I did go to IT school for the military as well.
Oh.
Got that MOS and, learned a lot from there, Security Plus, A Plus, CCNA, all those things. Yeah. And it really did help, in the business side of things.
You have experience in technology, you have experience in how to make technology improve business, but you're working for a lumber sales company,
right?
Essentially. And what do you do for that company?
So I specialize on lumber and trusses. That's my forte and work right now. And
are you milling them?
No, we are like a wholesale,
you
seller.
sell it?
We sell it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, a lot of my accounts are not even in this area. There's San Antonio, Austin, Corpus, Brownsville. So my territory is pretty good. Now, full disclosure, none of my clients or the accounts I manage are in the Green Valley service area or currently right now in Cibolo. So, I'm glad. I'm kind of happy that a lot of the people that I do business with aren't involved over there, just so, conflict of interest.
Right.
And the thing is, in the past, when any of my clients did do any work in Cibolo or anywhere else, if I was on the dais and I voted on anything, I would just recuse myself, from that agenda item, step out.
So now you've served on some boards in Cibolo, right?
Right. Planning and zoning, capital improvements, board of adjustments.
And you
like
decided to run for
Green Valley.
For Green Valley. Why not council in Cibolo?
So, okay. When I moved to Cibolo, the reason why I did move to Cibolo back in 2017 was because my wife's parents, my father-in-law is a disabled veteran, and he's 100% disabled. I mean, bedridden to the point where we needed to be there if something happened. So we moved into the same, subdivision as my mother-in-law and her dad to help out. And, it's a great community, Turning Stone, District 5. And when we got there, I, lived there for a few months. And I said, you know what, let me go sit down into a meeting and see what's going on. And I sat by Melvin Hicks, of all people, and God rest his soul.
Yep.
I miss the guy. He's a wealth of inspiration and knowledge. I was doing some development practices, trying to, get my own little thing going on in the county side, trying to bring it into Cibolo. And, I, as a developer, quote unquote, you're not allowed to run for the board for Green Valley. So I said, okay, I'm going to, do that, see where I can help in those fashions. And it didn't go through, zoning didn't want it, even though it was contiguous, like used from other stuff that was around it, whatever. I lived and learned, grew, spent some money and got some education on it, right? So now I kind of knew what developers and builders were going through. And I said, okay, you know what? That's the past. I learned from it. I'm moving on. And then fast forward to recently, when
you decided to run again.
Well, I decided to run again.
And oh my God. I mean, and so there was 3 people on the ballot, right? And then 2 people.
2 positions, yeah.
2 positions. And I think we have the numbers up here. I think you got like more votes than all the council members in Cibolo combined.
Yeah.
For maybe a couple election cycles. You ended up with what? 4,500 votes. And that's just in Guadalupe County, which is the biggest, right? And then you have a little...
We have a little bigger county in Comal County, but, Green Valley serves a very big territory. And Green Valley was created back in 1963. So we're coming up on 60 years.
Wow.
And I mean, for it to go from 150 people it was serving to now thousands, tens of thousands. I mean, we're almost at 17,000 connections.
And
now.
So for people that don't know, all right. So here we got John. Now he's going to this board meeting, and he's very passionate about getting on.
Yeah.
What the heck does Green Valley Special Utility District do? How is it your right to sell us water? What is going on? I just put a well in my backyard, man? Like, no, seriously, man. What? Tell me about these special utility districts. How come all the executive staff is always driving, Mercedes and stuff, and you guys have these cush offices? I got to deal with a lot of Bear County people. Let's just put it.
Bear County people are
you
totally
can look up their salaries,
right?
Right. No, but serious, man. Like, so what? Why was the SUD formed, and what does it do for people in their customers?
Right. So in 1963, it was formed. Some ranchers and farmers and a school teacher actually created, a corporation to buy water rights and to serve rural areas. And that's what an SUD is technically for, is rural areas. Then, fast forward a few more years, you're now getting into cities. Cities are growing, population's coming. And recently we've seen this huge boom. In the last 5 years, it's just been going crazy in the San Antonio, Austin market of housing. And, Cibolo, I think, doubled in size in the last 10 years. And shirts, I mean, Green Valley serves a lot of people, not only in the water side, we're now getting into the wastewater side because there's that need for it. And you have CCNs, certificates of convenience and necessity. So it's pretty much a territory of rights of where you are supposed to be serving. You have an obligation to serve those addresses and properties that are in those areas.
Well, so you see, you buy water rights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get, is that like you get to pump so many gallons out of Lake Dunlop every year?
So we have
I'm really trying to dumb this
Yeah.
down so everybody.
No, that's fine.
So water rights in Texas.
I think of T-Boone Pickens.
Water rights in Texas are your right to pump so many gallons of water out of the ground, because it's like sticking a straw in a bathtub. You can suck all the water out of the bathtub and take water from everybody next to you.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to form a system, right? And so that's
one source. We have the Wells Ranch. We have Trinity Wells. We are, through CRWA, which is Canyon Regional Water Authority. It's multiple entities.
Are you guys also doing all the treatment for the water?
So we have our own processes, I guess, through storage containers and elevated towers to get it to the houses. The treatment, I believe, is before us. So it's already kind of treated before it gets to us.
So how many people serve on the board?
So there's 7 people on the board currently.
And how often do you meet?
We meet every Thursday at the last Thursday of the month.
How many people work for?
So currently, right now, we have 53 employees.
And that's from people that are on the road, checking water lines. I mean, because you guys are
any
sending
water main breaks. I mean, they're out there throughout all hours of night sometimes too. They're on call, even during Snowmageddon. Right, they were out there. Pretty much, a lot of people were out there making sure all the water was still flowing.
Okay, so the question is, Mr. Frias, can you tell us of any positive changes you feel have come about since the most recent election of the new board of officers?
New board of officers.
Well, and then that's only been since February, right?
November.
No, yeah.
I guess we got like almost 3 months in, 2 months.
So 3 months in. So I would think, one big change that we are pretty proud of is the minutes, right? The minutes are a lot more detailed than before. It's really giving a lot of information in that. And before it was pretty much generic, easy. But there's been a lot of staff members, and one staff member in particular who's doing an awesome job on making sure it's very detailed. And that's one thing that we're driving, I would say, as a team, is more transparency.
The next question is the GV SUD ratepayers have been up in arms over the cost of the new GV SUD headquarters. I told you this goes back to the Mercedes and stuff. I'm telling you, building an operations center.
It's a nice place.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Well, so whoever sent us this, whoever on this group that sent us this question is obviously very well educated on what's going on if they're paying this close of attention. It started out to be a $16.5 million project, and the current costs are around $23 million. We know the new board majority had no approval or control of this. Can you give us any information about what many ratepayers call the Taj Mahal without disclosing the GV? There's got to be an acronym there, but anyway, the Taj Mahal without disclosing privileged board information. Can you make any modifications to that, or is it as what it is?
So actually, recently, I got appointed to the facilities committee, right? So using my construction experience to help, along with the facilities and making sure that we're checking a lot of the things that are being done from the architectural point of view and the building, and getting that done. And like he was saying, or whoever that person was saying, is, you start at one price, now it's this. I don't know, honestly, what all conspired from the point of, bid, proposal, locked in price to now. I know material inflation has gone up, supply, labor, change, or
everything is through the roof.
It could be a lot of things that cost it. But, that was done obviously by a previous board to get that building going. And mind you, we've been in that same building that we're currently in right now for 60 years. Last question.
The this goes back to something you brought up a little bit ago. The Green Valley SUD has been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know if that number is accurate, but I'll let you answer that in a second. For several years of lawsuits with other local governments, which many feel could have been avoided if the SUD had worked a little harder to find working solutions for the issues. Is the new board working to stop all these lawsuits? And if so, can you just tell us how, if you're allowed to? I know a lot of that's in executive session.
That's all pretty broad.
Yeah. Well, there's two sides to every story, right?
Yeah.
I think leadership, again, should be working together to form those common agreements without having to go to litigation.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, at times it does get to that point. But I would like to see, us make the efforts to find at however many meetings we need to have to find that solution to avoid costing more money.
Perfect. So I'd like to thank all our listeners for sending us those questions.
Yeah.
I hope they were like focused questions, and I felt like we laid the groundwork perfectly leading up to that. So do you think the days of having grass in our front yard gone? I mean, at what point at what point is
We're
that
going
just
Arizona?
Silly?
Yeah.
At what point
zero escaping everything, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think that'll happen? No.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I know we're starting out the year in I think certain restrictions. I want to say SAWS is like stage 3 right now. I'm not quite sure, but those things starting off the year like that. I know rodeo season. It's always wet, always cold, and it's you get some rain there. You get some rain in April, May, some in March, but we got that looking ahead to hopefully replenish the aquifer levels. And mind you, like where we get our water is mainly in like the Lockhart region, Gonzales County area. And that's where a lot of our water sources is coming from in those areas.
I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
The campaigning.
Yeah.
Is like in the city, it's like, hey, we're going to keep your garbage rates low, and, we're going to, fix the potholes, and you can walk around, and we're going to, put nice stop sign, replace your stop sign or whatever, put speed bumps. There's things you can campaign on. What is it like campaigning for a water utility?
I think, bringing attention to an area that impacts your wallet, local stuff impacts your dollars a lot more than, national, state stuff. And, getting people educated and informed about those things, right? So I campaigned on transparency, fiscal responsibility, working relationships, with other, counties and utility districts and cities, and just making sure that we're very mindful of what we're charging and how we're using that money.
So so they put, let's just say, planning and zoning, right? So that's a very, very important board, right? That's probably one of the most important boards, I would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
In planning and zoning, and they make decisions on, zoning, obviously, planning, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Based on laws, regulations, statutes, UDC, building codes, all those things.
Right. And things go to planning and zoning kind of to get another take instead of sending everything to the city council. Right. Mm-hmm. So what somebody comes in, applies for an application to put in a development, it goes from the city. The city's like, we have to go through planning and zoning for this. They they take a vote. And then if the planning and zoning shoots it down, you can still go to the council.
You can
appeal to council, and then council will take that up. Or if planning and zoning passes it, I think in the city of Selma, we have about a 98% we follow what our planning and zoning, that's their job. Right. We appoint them, and we trust them to do their job.
How many people are typically on these boards, like on planning and zoning especially?
So if I recall correctly, it's 7 people with like 2 alternates, on standby just in case to meet quorum.
And so I listened to your spiel, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And I felt like you were kind of getting beat up. And then, I didn't really, pay attention to, the result, the vote or whatever. And you didn't get on. So the meeting was in December. So you were up for what boards?
So I was asked to help out on P&Z, right? I had 3.5 years of planning and zoning.
You were asked by who? Not specifically, but just like the community or
some of the council
people
members,
of the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so I was told, hey, come put your packet in. We would like to have you back, or I would like to have you back on P&Z. So I did, and I get to that moment, talk about what I do, and then the vote happens, and then it's not picking me. So,
okay, so. You're up for, this was a year ago, right? And you're up for renewal, and they decide not to renew you,
right?
And this was part of the reason why.
Of that.
And then you kind of go into this was one of the big things, right? Mm-hmm. So back at that time, Steve Quinn was on the board, right? And so I called him because I don't want to get any council members. We're not here to rake the current council members over the coals or their decisions,
right?
It's the council. And we're here just to shine a light and say, we disagree. If I move to Cibolo because I disagree, I'm probably not going to get on a board, right? Even if I've won, 6 elections in a row in Selma and, and have served on all these other things, it doesn't matter. They disagree. So I asked Steve if he'd come on here and talk to you. He said he's not mad at you anymore. I'm going to call him and we'll see if this works.
Hey, what's up? Hello.
Hey, Steve Quinn, we got you. We're taping, but we can edit. So go ahead and you can drop some F-bombs, man, in case you want to get back into Cibolo politics. We'll cut it out for you.
Oh, man, we're good.
Hey, listen, I got John Frias on the phone, and he just are here in the studio, and Jason Setzer, my partner. And John was just telling me, he was on planning and zoning. They were the final authority, with the whole deal with the pump and haul. And Benson and Latimer were also on the board at the time, which I didn't realize they were ever on planning. I guess I knew Kara was on there, but I don't know anything about Benson. So Benson and Latimer were on planning and zoning.
That is 100% correct.
All right. So my question is for you, and I guess kind of, first of all, how are things in Tampa Bay, man? Hey, I heard, somebody told me Abbott or something was saying the other day at his press conference that you were moving back to Texas. Is that true?
I am moving back.
You tell me you're going to come to Cibolo and run for mayor against Mark Allen. Okay. And so now if you had a chance to put John back on planning, and so, was besides this one issue, do you think he would be qualified? And
did he do a good job when he was there?
So John David Frias is an extremely smart individual, right? He was very knowledgeable in the aspect of planning and zoning. I know that he loves the city of Cibolo, and he has the city of Cibolo's best interest in mind. And so kind of give you my take on all of this, right? And so when John David Frias got renominated to stay on the P&Z and a few other boards and committees and things of that nature, I was very clear to him, right? If I thought the money's got watered and things of that nature, that I would remove him, right? And I'm a man of my word. And so that happened at the time, right? And so I was like, you know what? We need to hit reset, and we need to let the people of the city of Cibolo know that, hey, we mean business. When we say something, we're going to follow through with it, right? Because as you know, the city of Cibolo, prior to me coming on as a councilman, it wasn't running as smoothly as it should have. Now the city of Cibolo is flourishing. There's a lot of things going on.
Okay. John, is there anything you want to ask Steve? Steve, I got one question. If planning and zoning was the final authority on major decisions that could cause legal trouble for the city, why wasn't a developer allowed to appeal that to the city council as the final authority at the time? And do you think the city council made a mistake by not having that system in place back when John and the other board members were making their decision?
Of course we did. Of course it was chaotic, and it was wrong not to have the system in place. At the end of the day, that's why we changed it. Because it was council for final approval.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to let John ask you a couple questions if he has anything. He's all smiley over here. He's like doing high fives, and he wants you to move up here so you can vote for him next time for the Green Valley SUD.
I understand where Steve's coming from. Not everybody is going to have, decisions that everybody's going to say, yes, I agree with that 100%. There's never a politician or even an elected official that is 100% going to make the right decision by everybody's opinion, So for Steve to be considerate and say, you know what, that whole situation, like you said, was muddy. There was a lot of back and forth. The developer had some strong points. We had some strong points on the city of Cibolo side. And, in the end, legal hashed it out, and, everything's moving forward now with the sewer line. It's almost done. So pump and hole is about to stop. in that area. So we just, again, that's why I got involved in Green Valley, just to make sure that thing got through and done. And, appreciate it, Quinn, that you would give your support again if you were here, and, miss you guys back on council, and the personality and the attitude you brought with it.
Yeah. Steve, I got
So, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah,
I got one.
I speak from the heart, and I don't hold anything back, right? So at the end of the day, like I said, I thought that you did great things, and I think that you could continue to flourish and do great things for the city of Cibolo. And I think they made a big mistake by not allowing you to come back on.
Hey, Steve, I got one last question. I don't know if this is going to make the show or not, but I have to ask this. Why do you have any indication, and I guess I could ask Joel, but do you have any indication from your perspective on why he might have abstained a year ago and then this time around felt compelled to vote? Usually if you abstain, there's, a reason for that.
I can't answer that.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And one last thing, Steve, welcome back to Texas when you get here, and we'd love to have you come in the studio and sit down and chat with us, because with Mr. Frias here, I agree 100%, man. You're a really smart guy. You understand politics, man, and we want to get you in here, okay?
Hey, thanks a lot. Y'all.
See you later.
Have a good one.
It sounds like Jason for me right now. Sounds to me like you know what time it is. It's time for the lightning round. Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Bring it on.
All right. So this I'll let Jason do this.
You got to pick a color: black, green, blue, or red.
We'll do blue.
Blue. All right. So this is how it works. The lightning round has nothing to do with politics. Has nothing to do with anything. These are random questions. You said blue, right?
Yeah.
We're running thin on the blue deck. Everybody likes blue. So my thing is like, I'm trying to run through these before we go. I've got all these games over here, and so like I'm trying to finish one game before we go to the next. And everybody's real hip on blue. So, anyways, we're gonna peel off 5 questions here. 3, 4, 5, and I'm gonna let Kevin ask you these questions.
Oh boy!
And just remember, like I said, you answer them however you want to answer them. Just remember, you pick the deck.
And if you do good, you get a couple Kevin Hattis questions. Okay, cool. It's a new segment I'm gonna try out. I got some questions. They're called the Kevin Hattis questions.
Okay,
we're gonna cram them into the to the lightning round. If you had a personal mascot, what would it be?
Personal mascot, probably the honey badger.
Oh yeah, because the honey badger don't give a care.
Don't give a care.
You know what? Oh man, you know what? If anybody ever asks me that question, I'm just gonna steal it because that's the best answer. Well done. If you were stranded on a desert island and you could choose one person to keep you company, who would it be?
See, one person. I gotta say my wife.
No, well done. Well done.
Say my wife.
Yeah.
I am the man that I am today because of her. So,
I can't answer that question. How about you, Jason? You got somebody?
Elon Musk.
Yeah. Not Miss February, huh?
No, not on that calendar that you got me.
All right. What about one animal? Don't
one
say
animal?
honey badger because he'd get beat up. Yeah. But the honey badger would take care of business if a cobra, king cobra,
Honey badger doesn't give up.
Yeah. What's the funniest thing you've seen a kid do?
Seen a kid do,
or one of your kids even?
Oh God, one of my kids. Let's see. There was one thing, when a song comes on, and the kids get into dancing and whatnot. When my oldest son was younger, he would put the pitcher on top of his head and start dancing around with it. So that was, one of those moments in life that, when you see your kids having fun and enjoying and doing silly things, it's like, that thing kind of sticks out. So,
couple more questions. How much would someone have to pay for your little toe? Lebowski. Yeah.
God. I'd probably have to say more than $1 million. And I think you need that kind of to keep balance, don't you?
What things do you do every day you wish could be automated?
Well, depending on who the customer is. I mean, answering those phone calls and questions and, getting the complaints.
My job. You go work another job and double dip, right? Go work for your competitor. Right? Get all the deals.
Far off. That's not far in the future.
Yeah, there's some customers out there that you're like scratching your head like, I could just have someone else talk to you.
Do you care to talk about those? Which customers those are? All right, I know. I understand. Yeah. What's your favorite sports team? College and pro?
Let's see, college. Probably say Aggies. I've always been an Aggie. Let's see. I know that football wise they don't do that great, but it's here nor there. Professional. So I have to say Spurs. My sister-in-law works for the Spurs, and
good.
She does great jobs over there.
And last question: what do you do for fun?
Fun.
Besides, you like to pamper your wife.
Yeah, pampering the wife. Fun wise, taking the kids to the beach, spending time with them at Disney World, those things.
Oh, you're a Disney guy.
We started, having to do those things because, the kids, I never went when I was a kid, trying to give that, opportunity to my kids.
This is Mr. Disney over here. He goes without the kids.
Yeah. I don't go anymore though. The gravy train stopped. So yeah, we've been taking kind of I went like 4 times in 1 year and then so Amy and I are taking a little break right now. That wraps up the lightning round. Well, let me ask you this. A lot of people call you John David. I heard Councilman Quinn call you that. So is it John or John D or John David?
Let's see, elementary to high school is JD, right? John David for short, so my real name is John David, right? My mom, dad, that's what they gave me at birth. And
it's a nice name.
But in the professional side after high school, I just went with John, middle name David, and just left it at that. And, in the military, it's always last name, right? They go off Frias this, Frias that, Sergeant Frias that.
Yeah.
So, but no, my mom, at times when people do call me John or, Frias, she's like, no, it's John David. So my mom will get after some people and say, no, say his right name. So,
what's your mom's
No, there's no John available here.
What's your mom's name?
Nelda.
Hey, Nelda. We apologize, but I am glad that I gave him an opportunity to explain that. So I hope you forgive me. So it's been a privilege to have your son, John David, on our podcast. So don't forget to like and subscribe, Nelda. But so I've always wondered about that. So my business partner on Cartwheel is named Peter, but everybody, our generation, Pete. I mean, it's just immediately they shorten it up. So, but I noticed. That's Mark Allen calls you that. Mayor Allen refers to you as that, and I also noticed Steve Quinn, of course, refers to you as that. So I wanted to make sure.
I think my mom has talked to them about that. So
yeah, well, we have her address published on our new website that's about to come up. So I don't want Nelda coming in here and having a chat with us. So
that's all good.
Well, it's all water under the bridge, but I do think that when Cibolo's looking at committees, that it's always seems to cause friction and strife, and I think that helps divide the board. And I've pointed this out to Dunn and Mayor Dunn and Stosh, and it always seems like there's fighting. I mean, here, because they appointed, and and I don't know any of these people, so they might be great people. Right. I don't know, but Cody Hicks got appointed, right, and he lost his election. I think so, right? And so is he on planning and zoning? So you didn't get it with your...
I think he's on EDC.
Yeah. And he seems like a nice guy. He's Joel's son. The Hicks family's done a lot. So it's not a slight on you, Cody, if you're listening. Yeah. And then the other person was...
Optics, though. Optics are bad with that, though, I think.
I wouldn't... In Selma, that's not how we roll. It's a different, I get it. People want to step up and volunteer. You don't want to turn them away, especially... But that was the thing that kind of was like, all right, I got to call John David and find out what he thinks about this, because it was like right after you, Cody was next, and I was like, I had to look because I didn't know who won that. So who? Oh yeah, that's right. Cody lost to Randy Roberts,
District
and that's
2.
Steve Quinn's old seat.
Right.
Okay, so got the evolution now.
Yeah.
I go back. Who had it before Quinn?
Yeah, and actually, I'm now in District 2. So, from District 5, living in Turning Stone, last year had the opportunity to move down to the south side of Cibolo, and we had a little 3-acre farm over there. Got some horses, chickens, rabbits, and get the kids outside, away from the tablets, away from their phone, get them to work, and start doing some chores.
Yeah,
right? I cracked that whip on that. So.
Hey, so District 5, that's Mark Allen's.
Mark Allen's old.
Okay, and so there's going to be an election for that district in May.
Mm-hmm. I believe there's 4 candidates right now actually running for that seat.
Really?
Yeah.
4. and if you want to, if you think the candidates would want to come in, we're definitely interested in talking to them.
I think they would.
We'd like to have a sponsor for that though, because that is a lot of work.
Yes.
I mean, the Cibolo mayor thing was well received, and I still get compliments on it. But we want to get it. We'd like to do that same type of format where it's just questions, not really interacting with Jason and I. It's extremely boring.
It's extremely difficult for this one to sit on his hands.
Yeah. Well, I'm like reading emails because I don't even care because I can't interact. It's very frustrating. But I do hope that the podcast helps, and and we are looking for a sponsor. So if you know a lumber company or somebody in Cibolo, we'd love to. We'll take any amount of money or donation.
I got a couple questions. Mm-hmm. Is UFP a customer of y'all's or a competitor of y'all's?
Competitor.
Okay.
Yeah. So like
because
UFP and MG.
So they make their own stuff.
Yeah.
But you guys source it. So
No. So we're about the same line of business.
okay. So y'all do make those own stuff.
Yeah. So we make our own trusses, and we facilitate our own lumber.
I thought so. You're a customer of Acme's, and so I thought so. But earlier, I guess I must have misheard. My other question is this: were you on planning and zoning when Walmart was coming to town?
No. That was way before me.
What about HEB?
No. Oh, actually, I was. Yes, on the preliminary platting and the land study stuff. I was. Yeah. So HEB was. I see. Like the only time I really had a customer, of mine, do any business in Cibolo was the Brooks of Cibolo. So my company supplied all the floor trusses and the roof trusses for that complex. The Brooks of Cibolo is a beautiful building. The senior citizen living facility.
Yeah, well, and so that's not where I was going with that. I was just curious because there was definitely a lot of attention given to those big companies coming to Cibolo. It was, Stosh and he was like they had a target on his back there for a little while, but Stosh ran on bringing Walmart to town. That was one of his things, though, right? If I'm not mistaken.
He was anti-toll, and then also responsible development. I mean he's a builder. I mean he of course he's gonna look. You can't stop progress. It's coming. You can try moratoriums. You can try it'll slow it down a little bit, but you get to a point where it's coming, obviously eminent domain and stuff is the line for a lot of people, taking somebody's land for a housing development or a hospital, or that gets really complicated. But I mean, you can't stop that. You can't buy a house in Cibolo right now, I don't think, for under $300,000, $260,000, $280,000. Jason, every time, we go over to Willie's for the Tri-County, where we do the charity thing, where they give the money to charity. And Jason and I were over there, and every time we talked to the servers, we moved here because the money's great. Well, where do you live? Converse.
Yep.
So they're taking the money, out of the community and not reinvesting, and
right. So at some point, with the master plan, that I again was not allowed to be on. When I went up to offer my services to be on the master planning committee, I got denied on that one too, right? So. But those are real critical, making sure that your master plan is followed by the developers and the builders and saying, okay, this is what you're wanting. You want this quality, this level. Is it the right balance? Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I did partake in some Zoom meetings from the Urban Land Institute and, learning about their critique of Cibolo and the Schertz area and whatnot. And what are we missing? Right. And there's a thing called the missing middle. Yeah. Right, which is multi-generational housing in the area that is a mix of seniors, and then the young, new, first-time home buyers, and just kind of a mix of that. And sooner or later, someone's going to do it. I think they have something like that going on in New Braunfels actually right now, and it's supposedly doing pretty good.
I was asking about HEB and Walmart, but I was asking about HEB because the conversation we had with Ralph Gutierrez, the mayor of Schertz, he was saying Jason Wiederstein actually brought up the point. He wanted to know how Evo was able to get a 5-day permit to start building, and then so Ralph was telling us that right. So Ralph was telling us, he was like, well, that's the way the process works in Shirts was that they have a no name. It was presented in front of them, and they're like, "Hey, look, this big corporation or whatever. I don't even know how much they were able to divulge. Doesn't sound like that was the case in Cibolo. Like you guys knew Walmart's coming to town, HEB's coming to town. They wanted to buy this land. They wanted to develop. This is the things they wanted to do, and it was a lot more open and transparent versus the example that we were given for.
Well, Santikos was in a unique position because Evo announced like a week later. I was like, I don't watch all the meetings, but I happened to note it. They made an announcement. There was something big on the agenda, and I noticed it. And it was like Santikos is coming. I was at the council meeting in Cibolo or something, and a week later there was some big project coming out on Shirts' agenda, and it was Evo's coming. And so I think Cibolo wanted to. Obviously, they're competing. They want to try to get the ground broken on Santikos because it benefits their city quicker. So,
sure, but I'm very.
Because it's also a partnership. There's sales tax receipts and stuff. The city, there's.
My thing though is like with how Wiederstein was asking a question. It was like at no time ever has a business been able to get a permit to build a facility like Evo in 5 days. You know what I mean?
Well, they started sounds like ahead of time and had the paperwork in and under some other.
That stuff takes time. To get it fast tracked to that level is pretty intense, and a lot of people would have to be lined up, ready to sign off on stuff like that.
That's my point.
Yeah. So
they organize those people,
and I give credit where credit's due. City of Cibolo really has done a lot of. Wayne Reed, the city manager, has done a lot of homework on and work in the planning and engineering department, getting a lot of those things, looking at it from a customer service side and, going back and seeing the inspector side, those relations. I think now it's third-party inspector company that's, making sure it's getting done because the need was there to say, hey, we need more help to, get these things done.
Well,
faster.
how do they get to a point though, like where Cibolo's like seriously considering a building moratorium? And it's like, well, they hire a consultant. The consultant comes in and does all this work, and the consultant's like, you're idiots.
So
that's basically what happened. Like, why did we do that?
That argument was clearly shot down. They did the investigation on, are you even qualified for it? And, when it deals with health, public health, safety, those are serious things to really assess. Infrastructure, response times, stuff like that. It's critical, right? So, when it comes to the building side of things and developers coming in, can you take care of those homeowners? Are they going to be responsible for certain things? Those are things to consider. And I wouldn't say, it was bad to just start talking moratorium. It's good to assess the situation and have somebody critique it to the point where it says, okay, we thought about it, we assessed it, we evaluated it, and here's the results, and you just got to live with it. I think building moratoriums turned away a lot of business at that time that was even considering looking at Cibolo. When you start talking about that, a lot of people are like, well, if you're not growing and if you're not going to do some great things, I'm not going to look in that direction.
Well, and there was an opening for an EDC director for a long time, and I know there was some good, really, really strong candidates looking at it because I talked to Wayne about it, and I think you chase those people off as well when that's still lingering in there. But I think that's all part of this shooting from the hip. I don't want growth because of the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at things pragmatically, making decisions. But like you said, given Cibolo its due, despite all that, the city continues to thrive. Mayor Boyle changed things around forever. The council's changed things around forever. And the pettiness and the petty grievances and some of that kind of stuff is just all a part of it. You got to remember, Mayor Boyle was a Gary Kelly Award winner.
Yeah.
And the following year, they pulled him off of every board and commission, right? And then he ran for mayor.
I got told last week I was actually nominated for that award as well coming up. So we'll see if I get that one too. And I know Mr. Melvin Hicks was also a recipient of that too.
Yeah.
And, a lot of things, that he's done too has a legacy. And, I think he was also a big part of the I-10 corridor.
Well, and Dick Hetzel has one.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
Mr. Councilman Hetzel and
there's some other people. But, in the end, those people served. They put time and effort into it. They cared about what they were doing. They were trying to make the right decisions. at that time with the information provided. So, going forward, I think, if the cities can work with the municipalities, together, I think Schertz and Cibolo have a great relationship.
Yep.
I want to see Green Valley also a part of that relationship and making sure that, they are all on the same, plan. Everybody
Yep.
has the same agenda of what they want to accomplish on behalf of the ratepayers and the taxpayers, and making sure that everything's going to be cost effective. We're not going to be wasting money, and we're going to be very conservative on the decisions we make that are long-term investments. And, I think those are critical things that, we all have to align ourselves up together as a team. We cannot be fighting each other over territories and, saying, well, this is what I want, that's what you want. We all have, the municipalities and utility districts all have debt because they've invested in infrastructure on bonds and, loans and whatnot. So you got to pay them back somehow. And you don't want to jeopardize stuff like that, you got a bill to pay. So,
we all got bills to pay, like our water bill.
Well, it's got to control those water leaks. So.
Yeah, well, So, best of luck to you on the board, John. With the I know your continuation, and it sounds like you have some fans. When I announced on social media you were coming on, we didn't get a lot of response for a lot of other shows, but boy, we got a lot of responses. You're wildly popular, and people really seem to respect and like you over there in the community. And so,
I appreciate it.
And as long as your wonderful bride will continue to allow you to do it, I guess. If she says you can't, then she can't help with the OLPH school anymore, right? So that's how that works.
I don't know if I could ever tell her no.
Both you guys are dedicated to serving your community, though, and in a lot of ways. And I think there's some lessons in raising chickens and cows and sheep, and hope you have permits for all those things. But I do think there's something to be said for all that with your kids. But watching you in a leadership role and your wife too, I think that's so important for if they're going to have a life of service too. So they,
Well, we are blessed, and we are recognizing that if we are blessed, we need to go bless others, and we need to go help others that are in need, and making sure that we're being good stewards of our community and giving back whatever we can. That's all we can do, and I think that's not going to stop. I think we're going to keep doing that for years to come. That's who we are. We love to help people out in need, and based on our skill sets and our knowledge and experience, we're going to put that to use. So,
one last final question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the new mayor of Cibolo? Seriously. There was 5 people. So you had, Tim Wolver and Kara and the disappearing Summer Marie Brown. She came in the first time for the interview, and then it was a runoff. And, I did everything I could to try to get her to come in here. And then I'm forgetting somebody.
She was busy over on the Chambers video with Cedric.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They went to the chamber. Well, but I think Mark's going to be fine. He's done a lot more already than I've expected.
Yeah, I think he's hitting the ground running. He has a very big shoes to fill. Stosh, golly, his legacy is going to live on for a while. I think Mark is going to take the baton and run with it. I helped him during his campaign. He helped me during my campaign because we want to work together. We really want to make that happen. So
did Mark did you? I think you're the one that broke your hand or something.
Oh,
is that right?
Yeah,
because he.
remember?
He goes, I called John, but his damn hand was broke. He's like, I'll drive you around.
So you've seen Yellowstone, right?
Yeah.
So I got my kids some horses, right? All 3 kids, 3 horses. So breaking one in. And that horse did not want me on her back. So she was like, get off, and I'm going to get you off. So, caught the beam with one arm, landed on the other arm, and broke my radial bone. But, it was an experience. I've never broken a bone, so now,
really?
Now I can say I have. And but, yeah, I told the kids, once I went to the hospital, they dressed it up green and red for Christmas. And I told the kids, hey, go to the hospital. The elves are there, so that they're not at least scared from that. But, yeah, he called me out one day and said, hey, can you help me put up some signs? And I said, well, I wish I could, but I'm kind of getting bandaged up right now. So
And then Mark was too cheap to rent local politics has a. I'm gonna claim it as a part of the pod.
A T-post banger, electric or gas powered. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I use a tractor and just push it down. I mean,
man, but you need a trailer and you
you get out and you just hold it and it does all the work.
You got to block traffic and
They have battery powered ones too. We learned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's for rent. It'll be up on our new website. You can find out about the post hole pounder rental thingy.
No, as far as the other
pounder rental
thingy,
the other candidates, they have some qualities, with them. And I know some of them actually, I think, got appointed to some commissions and committees. So, the ones that are still willing to serve, more power to you. Get involved. The ones that bowed out and said, I'm done and whatever, good luck.
And you can go to and you can still, as a community member, go to the meetings. I'm sure you follow them. I just know your personality. And, I think those other community members, I brought up Cody's name. I don't want anybody to think I'm picking on him. He's going to be just fine where he's at. I'm sure, I trust
it's going to
get
time. You have to give time and kind of learn the process, learn what you can do, can't do. But,
it's got to be frustrating, though. You get elected, you're up on the dais, and one of your first meetings is you have to divide the room because you're going to have to say no to some people. And you're like, really? It just seems.
And I still will keep going on there. If I'm ever asked again, hey, we need your help on this. Let's see if the board will, or the council will actually go for you this time. Whatever. I will never say no where help is needed. That's just how I am. So.
Well, I'm going to go check Jason after this. I'm going to go check and see if the water tastes better.
Yeah.
From
it always tastes great out of a local talent water bottle.
Ding! Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Sourced by Green Valley.
Sourced by Green Valley. Hey, if Green Valley wants to source our water here, we can give you guys some shout outs, okay? We just need the bottles with the labels on them, all right?
Yeah, no, it's we're all about quality too. And that's I know quality's coming, to many things. Green Valley and Cibolo and New Braunfels, everybody wants quality now. They don't want
Marion, I don't know.
I got a couple. I didn't make sure you were done.
I'm done.
Okay, so I got something really simple to ask about Green Valley. Mm-hmm. What would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about it?
Misconception? I don't know. I mean.
Do they think that y'all are like the water puppeteers, or?
Well, I think that people think
y'all are a school board, or
no, not a school board. That's for sure. I think that the conception back then was that the boards didn't want to work with other people, other entities and whatnot. I think they do. I think it's just the way people were going about it. Going forward, I know for a fact we're willing to talk, sit down, have those negotiations, and build those relationships with the other cities so that we can take care of everybody. That's all how we're gonna do it. I would like for there not to be perceived understandings or beliefs about Green Valley, which is, a big reason why, we hired a PR person and, to handle, getting the information out there. I want to be transparent. I want Green Valley to be open and honest with everybody to where you can't question what they're doing, what's happening.
So how do y'all get a service area?
So that's granted by the Public Utility Commission, which is at the state level that says, here's your territories that you're entitled to serve. And that's established years and years
ago. So y'all aren't really in competition
with
anybody?
It's already established. Your territorial jurisdictions are locked in, and you can trade, you can sell, you can give up.
However you run your business, how you run your business, but the area that you serve.
Right. And those certificates of convenience and necessity, CCNs, means, someone needs you got to get to them, or you got to find a way to provide somebody to get it to them. Okay. Water, sewer, or whatnot. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So is there any way that y'all can, do y'all have expansion? Is that a thing?
Yeah. So we have a lot of, because of developers and growth in our area, San Antonio and Austin are really a hot market right now across the whole nation. Everybody's coming over here. We're seeing year over year growth, massive growth. The Greater San Antonio Home Builder Association in January hosted housing forecast by Zonda. And Zonda is an analytical, they do all the data, where everybody's going, closings, selling, developer lots and whatnot. And, they were talking about our areas, the San Antonio area and how it's really growing outward. And, Cibolo is at the edge of the growth. Marion's already having a lot of lots being developed in the ETJs over there. And, New Braunfels, they went up on their impact fees and, trying to slow growth because they had way too much happen way too fast. So, there's a balancing act, right?
Sure.
And, making sure the infrastructure is in the ground is one thing. It takes time, right? It's not like, boom, you flip a switch and then, it happens. You got to plan, you got to design, you got to budget, and you got to find bid it out and get it built. But, we're, again, being very mindful of change orders and, contracts and how things are written and, making sure that what we're doing is the most conservative fiscally, to where we're not having to go up on rates, just whenever.
Right.
And I want to really emphasize that, if that ever does happen, there's big reasoning behind it and, justification of why we're having to do that. So if ever it comes down to it, I'm not saying it will or not. I'm just saying we take all those variables.
You heard it here first, folks.
Well, again, this is my opinion only. It's not the board's, but we are going to do our homework and we're going to give it the due diligence and the time and effort it deserves to really make sure is that the right choice at the time.
Okay.
I really feel that this board truly cares. I think everybody on there is on there because they have the will to serve. And, I think we are working well together. In the past, like I said, there was some strife between some board members and, I think that's all water under the bridge now. And I think going forward with our leadership, Steve Cooper, who's really doing a great job, he hit the ground running. Putting me as vice president, the board, voted for that. I don't know why, but I'm not going to turn down, some responsibility that says get it in there and take charge and make things happen.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Last thing I got is, are any of the board member positions, are they any of them paid positions?
So to my understanding is you get like $150 per meeting that you go to. I think that just covers, incidentals, gas, whatever.
Yeah. But it doesn't cover the length.
It doesn't cover the length. It's not an hour. It's like a one.
You don't
meeting
get overtime.
Rate. No overtime, nothing like that. And the meeting times, that's been a topic of controversy, right?
Sure.
Why during the day when everybody's at work? Why not have it in the afternoon like council members, have theirs, where people can attend
in the evening.
The evenings. And I think our president Steve Cooper, he's gonna be reviewing, how that is. I think it would be wise to break it up because Green Valley is growing so fast and doing so much. We cannot wait a whole month to make another decision on something that's time sensitive. Right. So we will hold special meetings and when needed, but I think it may get to that point of every 2 weeks, like, council members, have every 2 weeks to get the business going. We don't want to hold up anybody at, their expense on us and then them waiting on us, because that's just bad for business. But yeah, we got to keep moving this area forward. We cannot go backwards. And, I think with the way everything's happening now, this year, for this November's election coming up, there's 3 positions open. I know Christy Miller, she's, hanging up her hat. This is her last term. She said that she was not going to be going up for election again. I'm pretty sure Bob Robertson, Nick Sherman is going to be going again. Nick's going to be going on a couple of years, but in his profession, he works for CCMA and he does as an engineer over there, and he's doing good things, learning, and he's
look how happy he is in that picture.
He is. Everybody cracks a smile on there.
He's going to be on that board forever. You're going to have to come take his seat away from him. I got a feeling Nick's been around.
No, Nick's a great guy. He brings up very analytical, data-driven questions, and he really gets into the weeds of things. And
he's an engineer.
Yeah, and those are certain type of people, right? They like to look for those things, but with his experience, I know it will help us on the sewer side of things. But Britt King, getting to know him and what he's done, him as a business person, he does some high level stuff, and it's not small game stuff. So he's, I think, appropriately seated. I think he's going to contribute very well. I believe he's the chairman of the investments committee right now. So, I can't wait to see what he's going to bring, but he does also contribute a lot. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no one does. I mean, Mr. Hendrick's experience and Christie's and Bob's as well. But, the staff, I'll give credit. Staff is doing a lot of work. And, with this building, it's designed for growth and expansion. And, we're, like I said, we're 60 years in and we're going to be continuing on. So, it's going to be a busy place. I'll tell you that. So.
In 60 years, it'll be $60 a gallon for water.
No, we're not going to California. It's not California like. So.
Well, John David Frias.
Yep.
John J.D. Frias. John David. I'm going to call you so in case I ever run into your mom, man. Thank you so much for coming in today,
no problem.
man.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Thank you for being a guest on our program. I'm sure our fans are about to get queued up here to go wild.
Oh, yeah. I got text messages this morning saying, when is it going to be published? And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, they all been listening in our live studio audience. So thank you for coming in, John.
Appreciate it. No problem. Have a good one.